everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Victoria and I talk all things Toronto sports and hockey from across the pond in Scotland, and for today's video we're talking about week 9 of the Leafs season. In these videos I break down the games from the previous week and share my thoughts on them, and we're on week 9 already, which is absolutely insane. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I talk all things about the Leafs, the Jays, hockey in general, so if you want to hear a Scottish girl talking about sports, make sure to subscribe. Also like this video if you did enjoy it, and let's dive into week 9 of the Toronto Maple Leafs season. I also already filmed this for 20 minutes yesterday, but I didn't turn my microphone on. I have a new microphone, so let me know, is the audio any better? I really hope so, because it's a different microphone, and I already filmed this video yesterday and then I imported the footage and realised that the mic wasn't on, but I had to go into the office and I didn't have time to refilm yesterday, so we're trying again today. So first game of week 9 for the Leafs was on Monday, 2nd of December, and they were at home to the Chicago Blackhawks in a game which they won 4-1. Now I know the scoreline seems really good and on paper it looks like the Leafs were off to a flying start this week, but in my opinion this game was actually not as dominant for the Leafs as it should have been. Chicago are of course very much a rebuild team, and no hate to Chicago because it's a city that I want to visit in the very near future and I think they have amazing sports teams, but right now they're not, you know, a team that are in their prime. They have very little scoring talent. They're definitely a team that the Leafs should comfortably beat, and I know that a 4-1 win is a comfortable scoreline. However, I felt like during parts of the game the Leafs just didn't look as on form as they should have. They had really solid goaltending. Anthony Stollarts was absolutely amazing in this game. He definitely made a lot of regular saves, but just very critical ones that needed to be made, and I think that was the kind of game where if you had fluky goaltending, I could see it really going sideways and I could see the momentum easily shifting in the other direction. This solid goaltending combined with the fact that the Leafs' elite scoring talent were really quite on form this night. There was a first period goal from Austin Matthews, which was of course great to see given that he was out with an injury for so long. That was his first goal since the injury. It's great to see that he's coming back from that time off and he is still scoring, because obviously, you know, we got used to seeing Austin scoring a ridiculous amount in the regular season, but this year it's likely that it's obviously not going to be at the same calibre. However, as long as he can just, you know, stay healthy and keep scoring from now on, I'm very happy. He doesn't need to be beating records every single season for him still to be worth his paycheck. Tavares also got a goal in the second period, giving them a 2-0 lead, and we all know how much I love John Tavares. I am #1 John Tavares defender. I still can't believe how many people were happy to see him leave this team, to be honest. I want JT to be a Toronto Maple Leaf until he retires. I absolutely love the guy. I think he brings certain elements to this team that can't really be replaced. I'd be devastated if after this year he's not a Leaf anymore. There will genuinely be tears if that's the case. I just want him back on a discount and I hope he stays a Leaf for life. And then despite Chicago pulling back one in the third, Fraser Minton got his name on the score sheet once again, and then Matthew Knies finished the game off with an empty netter, giving the Leafs their 4-1 win. The Leafs penalty kill actually looked really good in this game, and I know what you're thinking, like it's against Chicago, but at the time of this game Chicago actually had the 8th best power play in the NHL, so it's quite impressive that the Leafs were shutting them down as much as they were. I know they don't have great scoring talent on their team, but Chicago's power play was actually pretty decent, so it's good to see that the Leafs special teams are working in some ways. Marner and Tanev looked particularly strong in this area. However, speaking of special teams, the Leafs still struggled in terms of power play. They were given 2 power play opportunities and in that time they actually only got 3 shots on net, which a team like Chicago, I feel like you just need to be putting pucks on net a lot more than that. However, they still took the win 4-1. There were some elements which I didn't think they were on strongest form with, but the Leafs do tend to sometimes, for whatever reason, play down to teams sometimes, I do notice, and sometimes the teams that have got more elite talent they actually play up to. They're a little strange. We all know what the Leafs are like, but anyway, it was a strong start to week 9 for the Leafs, which would only continue a couple days later, as on Wednesday the 4th of December, once again at home they took on the Nashville Predators and they won 3-2. This game was a comeback win, and it was also a game where the core four really shone. Nashville were actually dominant in the first period, period, and Joseph Wall in net really was tested. I feel like he faced a lot of shots, and a first period goal from Jonathan Marchessault saw Nashville get on the board first. However, the second period was more of a level playing field. The Leafs were getting shots on Saros, but nothing too fancy and nothing that was likely to convert into an actual goal. The third period saw a shake-up of the lines from Craig Berube reuniting Matthews and Marner, and this really worked some magic for the Leafs. It seems like that power duo is back. It seems like that dynamic has been rekindled, and it's great to see. We then saw two quick goals from Austin Matthews with just a few minutes left in the final frame. Both were assisted by Marner. As I say, their magic is back. This really brought the Leafs back to life in a game where otherwise it was really in doubt whether they would win or not. A Nylander power play goal put the Leafs 2 goals ahead, and despite Nashville clawing back a goal with just a few minutes left in the game, the Leafs managed to secure a 3-2 win, mainly thanks to the dynamic of Matthews and Marner. Then on to the weekend games. The Leafs had another back-to-back. I feel like we've had so many of those already this season, but they were playing both Friday and Saturday. So Friday the 6th of December, they were at home to the Washington Capitals, and they lost 3-1. Washington, of course, are a legit team. They are a really strong force this season. They really shook things up with their roster in the off-season, and it has paid off so far. They are arguably currently the best team in the NHL, you could argue. So the second half of the Leafs schedule would definitely see less success than in the first 2 games. Of course, I wouldn't say this was the Leafs' strongest week by any means, because against Chicago, even though the scoreline was good, they looked a little shaky in some areas to me, and then against Nashville, it was a comeback win, and then the final 2 games of the week, well, they lost both. With just 1 goal and 21 shots on this game, it was a disappointing night for everyone at Scotiabank Arena. The Leafs went down really quickly in this one, with Washington getting a goal in just a little over a minute into the game. It's really hard when you're scored on that quickly to get any momentum back, and it really did set the tone for the rest of this game. A goal from Tavares in the first would be the only time that the Leafs would get on the score sheet during this game, as despite the fact that the Leafs were able to hold them off in the middle period, in the final 20 Washington scored 2 more, giving them their 3-2 win. Tavares was the standout of this game by far. The likes of Matthews, Marner and Nyes were much quieter. Of course, they have been very strong lately, so one game doesn't take away from that, but they were definitely less present in this game for me, and they had way less of an impact. Washington also definitely got some puck luck in this game. There were some really lucky bounces. Sometimes, unfortunately, it just goes like that, but it's very rare that a team will lose just based on luck, and that's definitely not the case here, because the Capitals were definitely the better team. They deserved the win, and the Leafs just didn't look good enough overall to match up to them. Final game of the week, my least favourite game, Saturday 8th of December, away to the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they lost 5-2. That Washington game was not the worst game of the week, because at least the Washington Capitals are a really good team. The Pittsburgh Penguins, however, meh. They're not the sort of team that you want to be losing to. It was also doubly upsetting because this was the first time that the Leafs have lost back-to-back games since October. I personally hate losing to Pittsburgh, and I won't lie, I think I have a personal bias against them. Somehow, a few of the guys that I have dated in my life are all Pittsburgh Penguin fans, and I don't know why that is the case. I think Pittsburgh do have quite a substantial following over here in the UK, because obviously just iconic players. I think the likes of Sidney Crosby, along with the fact that Pittsburgh have a really cool brand, and I genuinely have, spoken to Pittsburgh fans over here before who have picked the team because of the logo, which is fair enough. But anyway, because I have dated a few guys who are Pittsburgh fans, I feel more personally against them. Like, it feels more personal for some reason. Obviously don't have that problem anymore. My boyfriend is very much a lifelong Leafs fan, but I feel the rivalry still. Like, I never want Pittsburgh to win. I can't ever root for them, so I hated this a lot. Anyway, a holding call from Nyes put the Pens on the power play quite quickly and gave them their first goal of the night, and this definitely was basically what went on all night long. It was very little in terms of 5-on-5. It was a lot to do with special teams. A response from Marner tied the game up, but the Leafs were trailing once again going into the second, as Rust made it 2-1 by the end of the first period. A second period Nylander goal on the power play made this game seem like it was still well within reach, and it truly didn't unravel until the third period, to be honest, where in true Leaf style, of course, Michael Bunting put the Pens in the lead in the third period. He got a power play goal, again, special teams. And then the Penguins sealed the deal with 2 short-handed empty net goals in the third period, giving them a 5-2 win. I hated this. I also fell asleep during some of this game because those back-to-back games, guys, they are tough to stay awake for. I did watch it live, but oh boy, that was hard to stay awake for. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about this game. The Leafs sucked. I'm not going to say anymore. So overall this week, the Leafs, obviously, it was 50-50 as to how well they did. They had really good outcomes at the start of the week and definitely not at the end of the week, of course, as we know. But for some reason, I have pinned my hopes on the Leafs winning the division this year because I've convinced myself that as they'll get a more favourable matchup in the first round, that the key to the Leafs' success is winning the division this year. I don't know why I've implanted this in my brain, but I'm just so dead set that if they can just win the division title, that they'll go far in the postseason. That's the way my logic is working this season. And weeks like this feel like a detriment to that cause. The Leafs were top of the Atlantic Division and they were pretty high up the league too, but they did pretty badly in the second half of this week. Florida have now overtaken them once again. Boston are now catching up with them. It's not good. This week's definitely shown that the special teams are better than they were at the start of the season. Like, the Leafs are definitely getting power play goals and their PK has been really good in some areas. However, there is still work that needs to be done. This week, the Leafs have got another busy schedule week. I'm posting this on Tuesday because of the microphone issue yesterday. There's always issues, guys, with me filming. Maybe I'm jinxed. Like, maybe I'm not meant to be on YouTube. But I'm filming this on Tuesday, so of course tonight they play the New Jersey Devils, which New Jersey are a very good team. They're definitely cup contenders in my eyes thus far into the season. They also play the Anaheim Ducks this week, which obviously should be a win, but will it be? Who knows? And then they have back-to-back division rivalry games on Saturday and Sunday. They're away to Detroit on Saturday and they're at home to Buffalo on Sunday. It's of course not far travel though at all, which is good. The only thing that could make a back-to-back worse is when you have got a really tired team on top of that from travelling. But of course, since it's Detroit, it's one of, the closest destinations in terms of travelling. Ideally this week, my hopes are that I would like to see 3 out of 4 wins this week for the Leafs. Apart from New Jersey, they're better than every matchup they have this week, and I want to see them getting back on that top spot at the top of the Atlantic Division because I've pinned my hopes on it. So anyway, those are all my thoughts for week 9 of the Toronto Maple Leafs season. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you think of the Leafs in this past week and what do you think about the upcoming games? Make sure to leave me a comment. I also did see a few of you guys were complimenting my Christmas tree, which thank you so much. Yes, this is a Leafs logo here. The whole tree is Leafs themed. Everything is like blue and white pretty much. Apart from the Leafs logo, because like it's wooden, but I feel like I should maybe paint it so that it's the right colour, to be honest. You actually can't see from where I'm filming, but if I zoom in a bit, you can see that my tree topper is actually a Leafs goalie helmet, and there's also other little Leafs decorations in the tree as well. So yeah, thank you for the compliments on my Christmas tree. It is very much Leafs themed. I have like vintage hockey skates sitting next to it. It's all very much a hockey themed tree, and I have a Carlton the bear also sitting underneath the tree too. He's very cute. So that is all from me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll be back soon with more hockey chats from across the pond. Bye guys.
When Christmas comes to town, it's getting cold. Baby, I just want you close. I got all this joy in my heart.